Welcome to my channel, Old Valuable Chiller. Today we are going to dive deep into the fascinating history, details, and value of the 1944 1-cent coin from the United States, also known as the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you are a coin collector, history lover, or simply curious about rare coins and their stories, this episode is going to take you on a detailed journey through everything related to the 1944 penny. By the end of this video, you'll know why this coin is so important, what makes it stand out, and why collectors across the world still search for it today. The 1944 1-cent coin is part of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. The obverse, or the front of the coin, features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse displays two wheat stalks on either side with the words 1 cent and United States of America in the center. Above the denomination, you'll see the motto E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. These design features became the standard look of the wheat penny until 1958, when the reverse design was changed to the Lincoln Memorial. The 1944 penny is particularly famous because it came right after a unique year in U.S. coin history. In 1943, during World War II, the U.S. Mint struck pennies using steel coated with zinc instead of the usual copper. This was done to conserve copper for wartime supplies and ammunition. The steel cents had a silver-gray color and looked very different from regular copper coins. However, by 1944, the mint returned to using copper for pennies, but with a twist. Most of the copper used for 1944 pennies actually came from recycled shell casings from the war. This makes the 1944 penny not only a symbol of American coinage but also a piece of wartime history. Every time you hold a 1944 penny, you are literally holding a piece of World War II in your hand. The mintage numbers of the 1944 penny were quite large, with hundreds of millions produced across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The Philadelphia mint coins have no mint mark, Denver pennies have a small D under the date, and San Francisco coins carry an S mint mark. Because of this massive production, the majority of 1944 pennies are considered common, and you can often find them in coin collections, rolls, and even in circulation decades later. However, the real excitement for collectors lies in the rare varieties and errors of the 1944 1-cent coin. One of the most famous and valuable rarities is the 1944 steel penny. Although the mint had returned to copper in 1944, a few leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally made their way into the presses, creating the rare 1944 steel cent. These are considered one of the holy grails of coin collecting. Only a handful are known to exist, and when they appear at auction, they can fetch tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition. Another exciting variety is the 1944 D over S mint mark error. This happened when a die originally intended for San Francisco was repunched for Denver, resulting in a coin that shows a D over an S mint mark. Collectors love these kinds of errors, and they can bring a premium compared to a regular penny from that year. Now let's talk about values. For the regular 1944 copper wheat penny, most examples are worth only a few cents if they are circulated and in worn condition. They might go for between 5 to 20 cents each in average circulated grades. However, if you find a 1944 penny in uncirculated condition with strong luster and minimal marks, the value can increase significantly. Mint state coins can sell for several dollars, and coins graded at the very top of the scale can be worth hundreds. Proof-like strikes or coins with red color, meaning they still have their original bright copper shine, are particularly sought after by collectors. The Denver and San Francisco mint coins tend to have slightly lower mintages than Philadelphia, but they are still generally common. That said, coins with full red color and high grade can carry premiums. The D over S variety, as I mentioned earlier, is quite scarce, and prices can vary from hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on condition. Of course, the superstar remains the 1944 steel penny. Even a lower-grade steel cent from 1944 can bring tens of thousands, and high-grade examples are legendary treasures. Beyond the numbers, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny carries historical importance. Think about the era. It was the height of World War II. The nation was united in effort, industries were working around the clock, and the coinage reflected the times. Using recycled shell casings as metal for coins is a remarkable connection between the battlefield and everyday life back home. Every penny struck in 1944 has a story to tell about resilience, sacrifice, and the shared determination of that generation. Collectors today appreciate the 1944 penny not just for its monetary value but also for its symbolism. It represents the return of copper coinage after the experimental steel cents. It reflects American innovation during wartime, and it continues the legacy of the wheat penny series, which is beloved worldwide. For many new collectors, the 1944 penny is often one of the first wheat pennies they encounter, making it a gateway coin into the world of numismatics. If you're looking to collect 1944 pennies, my advice is to start by learning how to identify the different mint marks and watching for any unusual features. Always check the date and mint mark closely, especially on Denver coins, in case you stumble upon the D/S variety. If you happen to find a coin that looks silvery instead of copper, get it tested. It might just be the ultra-rare steel version. Even if it turns out to be a regular 1943 steel cent, that's still an amazing find. Condition matters a lot in value, so storing your coins properly is important. Use coin flips, holders, or albums that keep your pennies safe from moisture, dirt, and fingerprints. Over time, even common coins in beautiful condition can increase in value, especially as interest in coin collecting grows. The 1944 penny, being tied to history and high mintage, will always have a place in collections. In summary, the 1944 1-cent coin from the United States is a fascinating piece of history. With its origins in wartime, its recycled copper from shell casings, its large mintage across 3 mints, and its legendary rarities like the steel penny and D/S mint mark, it captures the imagination of collectors everywhere. Whether your coin is worth a few cents or a few $1,000s, it holds a story that connects you to America's past. First up today, we are going to explore in detail the history, value, and interesting facts about the 1-cent coin from the United States, specifically the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny. This coin is one of the most collected and talked about pennies in American numismatic history, and for good reason. The 1945 1-cent coin carries with it stories of World War II, the American economy, and the rise of coin collecting as a popular hobby. If you are a coin collector, history lover, or simply someone curious about old money, this video will give you everything you need to know about the 1945 Lincoln cent. The 1-cent coin of 1945 is part of the Lincoln wheat penny series, which was minted from 1909 to 1958. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse side features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This was the first time in U.S. history that a real person appeared on a regularly issued coin. On the reverse side, you can find the 2 wheat stalks encircling the words 1 cent and United States of America, along with the Latin motto E pluribus unum. These wheat stalks are the reason collectors often call these coins wheat pennies. Now, when it comes to the 1945 1-cent coin, there are 3 different mint marks to consider. The Philadelphia Mint produced the largest quantity, and these coins carry no mint mark. The Denver Mint coins have a small D under the date, and the San Francisco Mint coins have an S. In total, hundreds of millions of these pennies were struck in 1945, making them fairly common compared to some earlier dates in the series. However, condition, rarity of certain errors, and collector demand all play a big role in determining the value of a 1945 wheat penny. The metal composition of the 1945 penny is also fascinating. During World War II, in 1943, the United States Mint switched to zinc-coated steel for pennies to save copper for the war effort. These steel cents are well known and highly collectible today. But by 1944, the Mint returned to using copper alloys, melting down recycled shell casings from the war. The 1945 1-cent coin is made primarily of copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc, and that makes it part of the so-called shell case cents. These coins are like tiny relics of the war era, carrying history in their very metal. When it comes to values, the 1945 1-cent coin in average circulated condition is usually worth only a few cents, since so many were produced. However, uncirculated examples, especially those with strong luster and clean surfaces, can fetch a few dollars to even higher amounts depending on grade. A 1945 penny in mint state condition, graded MS-65 or higher by professional services, can sometimes reach into the $10 to $50 range. And if you have a coin in extremely high grade, with original red coloration and little to no wear, collectors are willing to pay much more. Error coins from 1945 are especially valuable. Some examples include off-center strikes, double die obverse or reverse varieties, and repunched mint marks. These errors can transform an ordinary penny into a rare collectible worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's why it's always a good idea to check your change or your coin collection carefully, because you never know if you might have one of these valuable varieties. The historical context of the 1945 penny is just as important as its physical details. In 1945, the world was still at war during the early part of the year, and then in August the war officially ended. America was transitioning from wartime production back to a peacetime economy. The coins produced during this time are tangible reminders of that shift. Millions of Americans carried these pennies in their pockets during a period of great change, and today we can hold them and feel a connection to that history. Another reason the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is special is its role in popularizing coin collecting. During the mid-20th century, coin collecting became a common hobby in America. Families often saved wheat pennies from circulation, and children would look through their pocket change trying to fill coin albums. The 1945 penny, being common, was often one of the easier dates to find, and it helped spark the passion of many collectors. If you want to know whether your 1945 penny is valuable, the first step is to check its mint mark. Philadelphia coins, without a mint mark, are the most common. Denver and San Francisco coins are also common, but high-grade examples from these mints can be more desirable. Next, check the condition. Is it worn, or does it still have its original red shine? Then, look for errors or unusual features. Finally, consider professional grading if you think your coin is in excellent shape. Collectors often search for what are called red, red-brown, and brown examples. This refers to the color and luster of the copper. A 1945 penny that still has its original bright red copper tone is much more valuable than one that has toned to a dark brown. This is another reason why storage and preservation matter. If you want your 1945 1-cent coin to retain its value, keep it in a protective holder, away from moisture and direct sunlight. Today, even though the 1945 wheat penny is not considered rare, it remains a popular coin among collectors and history enthusiasts. It tells a story of America during the 1940s, of wartime sacrifice, post-war hope, and the enduring image of Abraham Lincoln. Holding a 1945 penny is like holding a piece of that story in your hand. So, whether you're a beginner just starting out with coin collecting, or an advanced numismatist, the 1945 1-cent coin deserves a place in your collection. Its affordability makes it easy to acquire, but its history makes it priceless in terms of meaning. Checking through old rolls of pennies, searching through inherited coin jars, or buying from reputable dealers are all great ways to find these coins. And if you're lucky, you might stumble upon a high-grade example or even a rare error. The 1945 penny continues to attract attention because it sits at the intersection of history, art, and value. It reflects a design that lasted for nearly 50 years, honors one of the greatest American presidents, and symbolizes a nation coming out of war. That combination makes it a fascinating subject for collectors and historians alike. Now we will explore the 1959 1-cent coin from the United States, a coin that continues to capture the interest of coin collectors, history lovers, and numismatists around the world. In this video, we will take a detailed look at the history, design, value, varieties, errors, and interesting facts about the 1959 penny, also known as the Lincoln cent. This year marked a significant turning point in the history of United States coinage because it was the very first year that the reverse design changed from the wheat ears reverse to the Lincoln Memorial reverse. That change alone makes the 1959 1-cent coin a very important piece of American coin history. The Lincoln cent has been one of the longest-running coin series in the history of the United States Mint. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real historical person, President Abraham Lincoln, on the obverse. From 1909 until 1958, the reverse design displayed two stylized wheat stalks, which gave the coin its popular nickname, the wheat penny. But beginning in 1959, the reverse design changed to show the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This transition is what makes the 1959 cent such an important collectible coin. The obverse of the 1959 penny continues to display the bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. It shows Lincoln facing to the right with the word liberty to the left, the date of 1959 to the right, and the motto "In God We Trust" at the top. The initials of the designer, VDB, are located at the shoulder of Lincoln, though these initials had a history of controversy in earlier issues. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, showcases the Lincoln Memorial, with the words United States of America and E pluribus unum above, and the denomination 1 cent below. Interestingly, if you look closely at the memorial design under magnification, you can actually see the tiny figure of the Lincoln statue inside, symbolizing continuity between the obverse and reverse. In terms of minting, the 1959 1-cent coin was produced in very high numbers. The The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of coins without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint produced even more coins, marked with a small D mint mark below the date. With such a large mintage, most 1959 pennies are still readily available today in circulation, although finding them in pristine uncirculated condition or in proof-like quality can be more challenging. Because so many were struck, the typical worn example usually has only face value, but collectors are interested in high-grade uncirculated coins, proof coins, and varieties that may be worth much more. Proof coins from 1959 were struck at the Philadelphia Mint for collectors. These proof coins feature sharper details, mirrored surfaces, and are highly sought after in top grades. Some proof 1959 cents can be worth significantly more than face value, especially those graded PR 67 or higher by major grading companies. For collectors, these proof coins mark the very beginning of the Lincoln Memorial Proof Series, adding historical importance. When it comes to values, the majority of circulated 1959 pennies are worth 1 cent, but uncirculated examples, especially those with bright original luster and without marks, can sell for a few dollars or more depending on the grade. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher can attract strong demand, and superb gem examples may be worth significantly more. Proofs and special varieties can also command higher prices. One of the most famous era varieties is the 1959 D-mule cent, which allegedly combines the 1959 obverse with a wheat reverse, although the authenticity of this coin has been debated for years. Nevertheless, era collectors closely study 1959 pennies for doubled dies, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and off-center strikes. The transition from wheat to memorial cent was more than just a design change. It represented a new era in American coinage. The wheat cent design connected to the early 20th century, while the Lincoln Memorial cent symbolized the mid-20th century and beyond. This coin remained in production with the memorial reverse from 1959 until 2008, making it a familiar design to millions of Americans for nearly 50 years. The 1959 penny therefore stands as the first of its kind, marking the start of that long series. Collectors often build typesets that include both wheat cents and memorial cents, and the 1959 issue is the natural bridge between the two designs. A collection without the 1959 penny feels incomplete, since it introduces the memorial reverse that would dominate U.S. coinage for decades. Many collectors save both Philadelphia and Denver issues, as well as proof coins, to have a complete representation of the year. The 1959 penny is also popular among casual collectors and treasure hunters. Because so many of these coins were struck, people still occasionally find them in pocket change, and while most are only worth face value, the thrill of finding a coin from the 1950s in circulation brings excitement to collectors. For younger collectors, it often serves as a first introduction to coin collecting, sparking curiosity about history and design. From a historical standpoint, the introduction of the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959 also had symbolic meaning. The Lincoln Memorial itself had been dedicated in 1922 and was already a powerful national monument. By placing it on the penny, the U.S. Mint reinforced the connection between Lincoln's legacy, his memorial, and the everyday coin used by millions of Americans. It was a reminder of Lincoln's enduring importance in American culture and history. When studying a 1959 penny, collectors pay attention to condition, strike quality, mint luster, and any potential varieties. Coins that have been well preserved in rolls, mint sets, or proof sets often display beautiful red color and can grade high. Collectors use terms such as brown, and red to describe the color of copper coins, and for the 1959 penny, fully red examples in mint condition are the most valuable. Copper coins can tone over time, and those with attractive original color are always more desirable. Even though the coin is common in general, the 1959 penny is far from ordinary. Its historical significance, design change, and place in the Lincoln cent series make it a must-have for coin collections. Whether you collect by date and mint mark, by type, or simply save interesting coins, the 1959 cent represents a turning point in U.S. coinage. If you are interested in coin collecting, it is always helpful to check coins carefully, look for errors, and store coins properly to preserve their condition. Using coin albums, holders, or capsules can keep copper coins safe from corrosion and damage. For the 1959 penny, storing them properly can ensure they maintain their bright red color and collector value over the years. The story of the 1959 1-cent coin continues to remind us of the connection between history, design, and the coins we use every day. Even a small copper penny holds a wealth of stories, from Lincoln's portrait to the Lincoln Memorial, from massive mintages to proof coins, from everyday circulation to prized collectibles. That is what makes numismatics such a fascinating hobby, the ability to discover history through coins that may pass unnoticed in daily life.